Ooh.
Right, welcome everyone to the first ever Talking Sense and Golf podcast. I'm your host, George Lings, and today we have an extremely special guest with us. I'm delighted to be sharing my first podcast with Mr. Jude Hobbs. He's a putting specialist, recently magazine published, aren't we, Judy, baby?
Yes.
And he is an all-time legend. So we're going to pick his brains today. If there's pros out there that are listening or amateurs, hopefully we're going to drop some gold, or Jude's going to drop some gold for you regarding putting. Before we get into it, Jude, let's talk about you. Let's hear about you. So obviously go back from when it started. We started together, didn't we? So let's start pre that, mate. How did you get into it?
Let's go for it. Yeah, so I got into it through one of my best mates in school. You know him quite well, Jensen Holt. He was my best mate in primary school. Still is my best mate, to be fair. Behind you. But yeah, he got me into it. We went to primary school together. He had a 9th birthday party, I think it was. Golf party, because it's him and his dad always played at Hever Castle. Went there, loved it, and yeah, just stuck it out through then. Got into the county squad when I think we were like 13, 14. We got into the county team, which was pretty good. I was really chuffed with that. Gave it up for football. Loved my football, but yeah, gave it up for golf. And then started my PGA when I was 18. Left school, started my PGA straight away. That was when me and you pretty much started, wasn't it? That was when I first met you.
Like that.
I think it was I first met you at Red Libbets. Through Jay's coaching sessions.
Yeah.
And then yeah, we started our PGA, done that together. That was a good 3 years, 4 years, 3 years.
That was
yeah. And then I'd done another 2 years at West Kent. That was when I started going into the putting stuff. I'd say as soon as I finished my PGA year 3, that was when I joined West Kent, joined forces with Jay. He was my coach anyway. I was a member at West Kent as a junior. So I was lucky to come on board with him for sure. He helped me out massively, still does. And then 2 years, that's when I went into putting. As soon as I started at West Kent, I went straight into putting, just because there was a putting studio there. He was in the long game studio. He was doing really well with long game. And he was like, look, like if you go into putting, I'll smash long game, then we can be like a really good team. So I was like, yeah, 100%, let's do it. Always liked the idea of it. Like I actually got a few putting lessons through my junior career, through Simon Iliff, who was the head pro at West Kent. He was the reason why they had the putting studio built there. So all thanks to him, really, because if they didn't have that putting studio, then I might not have ever gone into it.
Yeah, and it's an awesome putting studio as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so good, and it's in Kent, so there's not a lot around it. Really, I think there's only like 3 or 4 studios in like Kent/London. So yeah, it was good. Went straight into it, done all the qualifications, done the Sam Putt Lab, capped all of that. And yeah, managed to get coaching some good players early on. And then yeah, moved out to Dubai 3 months ago. So at Emirates Golf Club, doing the same, just full-time golf coaching, mainly putting, trying to go more into putting over here. But yeah, it's pretty much me, to be fair, mate. Summed up.
Nice. Talk me through Dubai, the 3 months that you've been there. How's it different to England for anyone that may look at it? What's it like out there compared to in England?
Yeah, nice. To be fair, it's been unreal. Obviously, moving country is something I always wanted to do. That's why I've done the PGA. I just wanted to get out of England in the winter. I'm really in the cold, so I was like, and putting studios are great, but like being stuck on like for like a 15-foot putt inside, kind of limited. Didn't have the Zen green staged and all of that. So coming out here was mainly just to try and build on the putting stuff as well as just like a bit of a lifestyle change as well. Like I wanted to get just experience living abroad. And yeah, I thought that this was a good option. Obviously, like the facilities are really good. People here are great, loving it. Far more like English and Brits than what I thought as well, which was quite international anyway. But yeah, nice come well. Really enjoying it.
Are you still doing a lot on skill list at the same time?
A little bit here and there, mainly focusing on just the in-person stuff, to be honest. Just head first into the in-person stuff. trying to do a lot more like learning. I'm at the golf club all day just because it's a little bit different. Like I suppose golf coaching at home or in England, you sort of go for your hours. You do it. You can like, I mean, I ran my own diary at home, so I could block everyone into like a 6 hour period, and then I'd do my 6 hours and go. Whereas here, I'm there all day. It's a bit different in the way that people get lessons here. It's quite early mornings and then evenings. Some people get lessons. Well, I mean, I'll have a few lessons in the middle of the day. So I'm pretty much there all day. Like it's a good 10-hour days, sometimes more. So I'll do my morning lessons, then I'll do a few in the afternoon, and then I'll do a few in the evening. So I have a lot of time in between because I stay at the golf club. It's got everything there as well. It's got the gym, like we can eat there and stuff like that. So I've got a lot of time to learn more. That's what I'm trying to do. So because I think in anything coaching or putting coaching or any golf coach, you can never stop learning really. So been lucky enough to spend time with Peter Cowan. He's because I work for his academy, Emirates. So he's come over. He's awesome. So good to learn off. But yeah,
wicked. What are you learning at the moment? Anything putting wise that you're diving deeper into, or is it just general?
Yeah. I want to do. There's a few online like courses that I'm looking at. I know that Flat Stick Academy is one of the ones I'll probably do next. But I feel like I've kind of ticked them off. Like the courses are really good, but then as well saying that doing putting lessons and actually giving lessons to the lessons you do. Yeah, exactly.
The knowledge in the world, but you got to apply it well as well.
100%. But yeah, I mean, here it's more about spending a lot of time out on the greens on my own with the Capto. Because it's quite grainy here. The greens are super grainy. So it's like at home, I never really had to deal with any grain.
Yeah.
Especially the courses that I was playing anyway. So yeah, I had to learn a bit more about grain when I moved out here, which was good. Like now I feel like I'm pretty strong with it. But it's actually to the extent like sometimes on the Majlis, it's probably the grainiest course in Dubai, I'd say. Yeah. And sometimes if the slope's going from right to left and the grain's going up the slope, the ball got up the slope and it's like that blew me away. I've never experienced that. I actually played around with Eddie Pepperell. Luckily, again, he was just popping over. He was playing in the Desert Classic, and they let me play with him. And he had a putt. I think it was on like 16, and it done that. It went up the slope, and even he was like, "Mate, I've never seen that." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. It's just crazy."
Is there calculations with grain, or is it purely eyesight?
I think when I'm speaking to people about it, because a lot of the members ask about it, I always say in terms of like aim point, I always say take off maybe 0.5% or take off 1% and just going the other way.
Yeah.
So it is rare. Usually grain goes with the slope. Usually in most cases. Yeah. In that case, if it's really grainy, then you kind of got to add. So I'd say like add 0.5% for the grain, or add a 4% for the grain. So yeah, the shorter the greens get, the less grainy they are. So they probably won't be as grainy for the Desert Classic. I think that's why Eddie Pepperell said to me that he's never experienced it in that extreme, because he's always playing on pure greens in his tournaments. Yeah. But I think they were growing the greens out a little bit when I played with them, and it seriously takes over. Like it's crazy.
Mad how ball can go up a slope just because of grain.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Right, let's get into let's throw a big question out there early doors. In your opinion, who is currently the best putter in the world?
Yeah, so I'd say currently, obviously, like you can look at like go on the PGA Tour, see or the website, go on the stats, see who the number one is and the strokes gained and putts per round and all that. But I'd probably say the best putter in the world is, I'd say, Jon Rahm, just because he's probably the highest up when it comes to the stats, but then he's putting himself in the positions. So it's like you could be number one in strokes gained putting, but you're probably not. But then if you
could be 60 foot away every time and
yeah,
1 and 2 putting the rest, and that's
exactly yeah, exactly. So plus, like in terms of like pressure as well, like if you're Jon Rahm's playing for titles, but if you're just playing. Like, I know you just made cut, or you're not really playing with a lot of pressure, or as much pressure as someone like John Rahm, and that person who's high up on the stats. I don't think it makes you the best putter in the world if you're as high up in the stats as someone who's actually winning the events and put yourself under serious amounts of pressure. So I'd say right now, currently, John Rahm.
Like it. Purely because he puts himself in the position to hold putts for pressure.
Yeah. And that plus his stats are the best out of anyone in probably the top 10, I'd say.
Okay. Right. Who I'll add on to that question then. Who is the best putter in the world, or who would you say is you would go and look at, or you would want to watch putt if you could go back years, or nowadays you like to go and see putt?
Yeah, I'd say the obvious one would probably be just Tiger Woods, like obviously because he's the GOAT, so can't really you've got to throw his name there. But I'd say Jordan Spieth when he was in his prime.
Yeah,
he was probably the person that stood out to me. That was when I was like, I think I was still a junior when he was doing really well. But maybe I was going in to start my PGA as well, and I was like, I used to love watching him putt.
Yeah,
like even on like. Never used to watch loads of the golf. I'd watch the majors, I'd watch the Ryder Cups. Maybe I'd watch a few of the Sundays. But when he was in his prime, I'd watch it like on a Thursday night, round one of like some random Miami Open or something or whatever. And I'd watch him just because I think I just used to love him, love watching him putt. I think he was class. Even the way he looked at the hole, I find that really fascinating to do that, and then to do that and win majors at such a young age as well. I've done
not anything scientific, but I've done some work with some clients recently where even in like pre-shot routines, they weren't even looking at the hole. And you think you've got two senses that you can use in putting. You can use feel with your feet with aim point, and you can use sight, right? And if you're not looking at the hole in the practice, how do you know ever to control distance? It's like if you were to throw a ball, you'd look at the target, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Where if someone I did it with one of my guys, is I got passed this on from someone, is basically I got them to just randomly throw a ball at me. So threw a ball, and I went, right, where was you looking? Like, yeah, but not like underarm. Just got them to throw a ball at me underarm, and I said, right, what was the first thing you looked at? And there was like the target, your hand. So what I did, what I got them to do, threw the ball back to them, and I went, right, close your eyes. I like tiptoed away so they couldn't hear me, and I went, all right, then throw the ball again, and they threw it to the same place that they thought I was at, because they have their eyesight, they don't know where. So how can you not look at the hole a minimum in your pre-shot routine? Is crazy.
Yeah, crazy. And I think like especially at like the level he's playing at, like it's one thing having a putt to win a major, but it's one thing having a putt to win a major and like looking at the hole while you're doing it. That blows my mind.
Hey,
I pretty missed the ball, to be fair.
Especially with like 5 wines down me, I'm definitely missing the ball putting.
Yeah, been there.
Yeah, that's experience. Right. So you've been around a few tournaments. What are you seeing those guys doing when they're on the practice green? Things that you're seeing them do, or
I'd say a lot of training aids. Like everyone's got a training aid. Anytime I've been at there's the Clutch Tour. It's a good mini tour in England. Been to a couple of challenge events, and that when I've gone to watch like any tour events. Lucky enough, I spent a few days at the DP Tour World Champs out here in November, and I walked with McIlroy. I watched him practice and managed to walk 9 holes with him in one of the practice days. And like he's using all the sort of training aids under the sun, like for different things, for start line, for setup, etc. But again, just going there on like the Thursday, or anytime I've been to Wentworth, towards the BMW, I just think the practice greens are just full of training aids, I'd say. just because they're the best things. They're going to get you calibrated. They always just calibrating their setup, calibrating their start line. A lot of them are very good naturally, like natural feel putters, I'd say. So they're all fairly good at distance control. You don't see as many guys on the practice green pre-round doing distance control drills, I'd say. It's more just about setup and start line. But yeah, I'd say just all training aids, definitely.
So I'm going to take it a slight tangent. Would you change a let's say a weekend golfer if they hit the green 10 minutes before they go out compared to a pro? Would you get them to do more speed control stuff than start line stuff?
100%. Yeah, I'd say if you don't have loads of time to practice and like work on the small margins and like being 0.0 impact in terms of your club face every time, then I'd say yeah, distance control, definitely. Obviously, you can't be like ridiculously pushing it or pulling it, but if you're within a decent range, I'd say pace is king. 100% pace is king, because then you can be reducing free putts, and that I'd say for the weekend golfer, that's what they need to be doing, just reducing free putts.
100%. So, and I'm going to take you back to a point you just made there. 0.0 club face. How much of putting or how much of start line is down to club face?
All of it, I'd say.
All of it.
Yeah. I'd say I think the actual stat is like 85%. I've heard a few ones when I first was like learning about just sort of putting in general. I heard 75%, but that was like maybe 3 years ago, and like since then, the more I see everyone's saying like 90%, now 85%.
I'm sure when I had a brief look at putting, it was like 95% is down to club face.
Yeah, and that like really surprises people. Like I'd say that a lot, and then they're like, "Oh no, I thought I could like draw my putt." So, mate, a lot of people think they can draw and fade a putt, which you can put side spin on, to be fair. But yeah, club face is king, definitely king. I was just gonna say as well about the pace is king. Going on to like stats and stuff like that. You'd like that's probably the key thing I think people think about the tour, which is probably wrong. Is I think people think that the tour pros hold more putts than what they do. Yeah, so everyone watches the TV and they're holding the world, and so someone will think that if you're a tour player, you're holding like 15 out of your first 18 putts, whatever, which isn't true. But then I think they underestimate how little free putts they have on tour as well. Like if you go on the stats, like even someone who's not even high up in the stats, their free putt percentage is super low.
Yeah, their 0. Tour average is 0.5. 0.5. So under half a 3-putt a round. So every 2 rounds they may have a 3-putt.
And on the greens, and on the pins are going to be in the toughest positions. They're going to have slopes. Like their pace control is no joke, definitely compared to your.
Yeah, I love doing stats, so I'm all over this shit now. But
you are Mr. Statman.
from 33 foot, you have more. A tour pro has more chance of 3 putting than they do 1 putting by about 1%. It's about 5%, 5.5%, 6%. 1 putt and about 6.5% 3 putt.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And but all you see on TV is that 5% being hold.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I definitely say that fools people a little bit. But yeah, again, like that's probably another thing that I mentioned a lot in just putting lessons, just teaching people about managing expectations. I think is massive.
100%. Get good inside 6 foot, and then just be good at pace control, because you can't go wrong there, can you?
Exactly.
Now we're on that sort of subject. What is the biggest mistake you see amateurs make when putting, whether it's technical, whatever it be? What's the biggest thing you see?
I'd probably say not enough pace control stuff, and probably just not enough putting practice in general. I'd say like I'd probably say like a tour pro, they've probably got like a 50-50 split between long game and short game, maybe more in favor of short game, probably more. But whereas your amateur is going to be 10-20% putting. It's quite generous, I think.
Yeah, that is
maybe 5. So yeah, I'd say just even doesn't even have to be anything fancy. Just spending more time on the green in general.
Yeah.
There's loads of games people can find online. Like YouTube's really good for all of that. Like skill games, I think are good, and it keeps it fun because like it's not like if you just go on the green with 3 balls and you're putting to holes, 10 minutes will feel like 3 hours. But if you're going on the green, you've got a few skill games in mind, putting yourself under a bit of pressure, you've got a few training aids that you've invested in, just to make it a bit more fun. Because it's not meant to be fun, and like but if you put the hours in, then coming up off a round knowing you've putted well is a really good feeling, I think. So and that's a key for us.
I say to my guys, if you're going to turn up, if you let's say that you're going to turn up 20 minutes before your round, then go and hit 10 balls just to get warmed up, and then go and spend 10 minutes just do something pace control wise. Like I'll give them a drill, maybe like I see the random ladder. I quite like doing it. And then just go around the whole 4 4-footers in a row, and just go after it from there. Because they just, I don't think they get the concept of how many, practically half of your golf shots are putting. So why are you not spreading the time? Why is the doing that putting practice? Because you could say, I mean, I think guys can say, I think you can, however old you are, you can match what a tour pro does, unless you've got eyesight issues. You can match what a tour pro does on the greens. You might not be physically capable to match the distance they hit off the tee, whatever. You might not be able to do those sorts of things, but you can definitely match what a tour pro does in putting. So why are these guys having 36 putts when they could have 29? Madness.
Definitely. I'd definitely say, like, I've actually had times where I haven't really got a lot of time, and I'd much rather, and I have done, just spend 5 minutes or 10 minutes on the putting green pre-round instead of hitting a shot. And I'll stand on the first tee without hitting a shot. But if I stand on the green without hitting my first putt on the first hole without having a putt, you're lost, I think, because gauging feel without going on the practice green and gauging the speed without going on the practice green is going to be tough. It's going to take you 5 holes at least.
Yep.
So yeah, I'd definitely say at least 50-50 split, definitely between.
We had we took a group of guys out to Turkey, and they had a couple of days that had like varying green paces, because they would have cut and rolled the putting green, but then not even like, I know you got squeegee, when they like squeegee the greens, they haven't even got like the dew off the greens. So you'd go warm up on that and then just 3-putt the living daylights out of it, because the pace was so different. And it would be varying. Like one day it would be the putting green was dewy and the greens were good on the golf course. And it was it was just, I think the first one of the days that it happened, the first 7 holes, I 6-putted 3 times. You can imagine. I'd raised.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm glad I won't play with you.
It's lucky I don't use my own putter. Right. So any well, we sort of covered this a little bit on that last question, but if a guy, let's go down the rankings. So if we've got a pro or elite amateur, they will go into work on putting for half an hour, what advice would you give them?
50% split with blocked practice, so technical stuff with a mirror, focus on one putt, solely one putt, inside 10 feet, on start line and set up. I'd say just
is there anything you're looking for, without giving away too much gold? Is there anything you're looking for in setup specifically?
Probably would say, again, a lot of people, everyone's different, so everyone's going to have their different patterns and feels and stuff like that. But I'd say alignment for everyone, massive. Club face alignment, body alignment, make sure everything matches up. The one thing at setup that I'd probably say, I mean, there's a few things, but the main thing I'd say at setup that I'd like to see with everyone is like just level shoulders. If you've got equal shoulders, I feel like that's gonna really help you with strike. I think strike solely probably strikes the single most important thing I'd say in the stroke.
Yeah.
I'd say. Obviously, alignment's super important, but I'd say when alignment's good, then I'd say strike, because if you're consistently striking it out of the middle, then your distance control is going to be good, your feel is going to be good, and then you're going to be starting the ball on line because the balls are going to be deflecting off Tyron Hill. I think that's actually one of the things I learned from Pete Cowan, because he said to me that when he used to notice Tiger Woods and Jordan Spieth, the thing he'd notice about them is the middle mark on their putter, and the fact that when they're on the green, he'd be standing on the green, and if Woods and Spieth were on the green, he'd hear them and he'd notice them, because he think every putt Woods and Spieth would hit would sound the same, because they're always striking out of the middle. And like even him to say that against other tour pros as well shows you like the levels them two.
This is how I know I was a sick putter. I'm definitely up in that Tiger Woods category, just to let you know, because my last spider, I indented the middle of it. I hit it out the middle so much.
You probably smashed it on the ground, mate, and luckily some stone went into the middle.
Dude, when have you ever seen me smash a club?
Yeah.
Right. So if we will get back onto that. So you're going 50% split between block odd zero or start line.
The other like scatter practice, different putts, skill games. Make sure I'd say for the first 50%, you want every putt to be the same. So you're working on the same putt. You've got a training aid, getting your alignment, getting your strike good, and your start line. And then the second 50%, every putt's different. So skill games, more on course based stuff.
Cool. Yeah. And then if you were to give that to, so if incredibly out of pure amazement, a weekend warrior went and did half hours practice, would you change that or would you keep it the same?
I'd probably keep it the same, to be fair. I think that's the best overall sort of and simplest way to do it as well. If you just have in your head, if I'm going to spend 30 minutes on the green, 15 minute keeps it fun, because if you're doing the same thing too often, you're going to find it boring. So it keeps you moving. I definitely said the same. So
I'm going to ask you to give me then one of your favorite holing out games and one of your favorite speed control games, if you can explain them over the video.
Holding out games, probably would say the par birdie game. 6 foot par.
I've done a video on that, and that's going out tomorrow.
Really? Really? I just think it's good because it's easy. You don't need tees. You can do it with one ball, to be fair, but you've got your clock around a 6 foot par. And you've got an easy score system, because it's a score system where you're on the course. You don't have to mess around with points. And if you know, right, that's birdie, that's par, you can have a score. You can give yourself 10 minutes to do it, and then see what your score is, and then try and beat it next time. I'd say that's definitely probably my favorite hole.
That's the key bit that you said there, is record it every time so that you can beat it every time, because it's about getting you slightly better every single time, not
exactly. And it keeps you going back as well. If you've got something to aim for, you're going to be excited to go on the greens. You're going to be I want to be.
You know what score they should be looking for, because I've done the maths on it.
No, because you have.
I've done the maths on it. So tour, I've got the maths on it in my phone here. So tour average is 81% from 4 foot. So from the 4 foot, the par parts, it's 81%. So that's around about 7 out of 8. If you go around it twice, I tend to people to go around it twice. And then tour average from 6 foot is 61%. So that's 5 of them. So if you want to be tour average, if you go around it twice with the 8 putts that you do, it should be a 4 under score.
Fine. To be fair, I'm going to get up. I have another one that's similar.
Yeah.
I'd either say the pars birdies game, or I would say this one. Let me just find it. Because again, it's a score system, but I do have the PGA Tour averages on it. So I like to use that one, because then you can give someone. I should have probably prepared this and got it out quicker because of the stats.
I didn't. To be fair, I didn't send this as a prep question for you, so we'll let you off on this one.
fine. But yeah, I think it isn't actually loading, but it's a certain amount of putts from 3 feet, a certain amount of putts from 6 feet. I think it's 3 from 6 feet. Sorry, 3 from 3 feet, 3 from 6 feet, 3 from 9 feet, 3 from 12 feet. That side's right to left, that side's left to right. So it's 12 putts each side. So you've got 12 right to left putts, 12 left to right putts from them staggered distances. So it's 24 putts in total. And I can remember off the top of my head, 17 is PGA Tour average of 24.
Yeah, that's pretty sounds about right. Yeah.
From 12 putts, 3 feet, 6 feet, 9 feet, 12 feet. Yeah, right to left to right. And I like that because you can do the slopes as well. Usually, part of Birdie's game is good because every putt's different, but then at least you're practicing sloping putts as well, which I think is important.
Facts. Right, distance control.
Distance control.
Drill.
Just like I'd say the ladder drill. Just like I like getting a zone, so putting from say 60 feet on one end and then 30 feet the other end. So you got a 30-foot zone. The furthest is 60 feet and the shortest is 30 feet. And then trying to fit as many golf balls as you can from the 60 feet to the 30-foot range, and they've got to keep staggering down. They can't go past each other. And then how many can you fit in that zone? I think it's really.
Do you like to go furthest to closest?
Yeah. Just because like if you're doing closest, then sometimes you can like hit the balls and stuff like that. So
yeah,
so at least I like furthest is good because then you can just stagger it down, and like you don't need to putt to a hole or anything like that. Sometimes like not everyone's got massive practice putting greens either. So if you need holes for your lag putting drills, you can kind of take up space. So at least if you just find a 60-foot strip, you can just go down the side of your green. You don't even need to interfere with anyone. And then you can
I had a very good friend of mine who hopefully is coming on the podcast next week, but he gave me 2 extra versions of that. So basically you've got your zone, and then your first version of it is you start like 10 foot away or something like that. Say you start 9 foot away from the start of the zone. He then said, if you just randomly pick where the next putt goes, because you're never going to have that varying, lowering or uppering putt every single time. So you call the next putt and go like that. And then he added another layer to it, which was where he had a tee at 9 foot, a tee at 12 foot, and a tee at 15 foot away from the start of the zone. And then you'd go, first putt would be from that 9 foot one. Then you go back to the 12-foot one and call it, and then go back to 15-foot one, call it, and work up and down. And basically, because when do you ever get the same? Like, when are you going to get? Not that you'll get this anyway, but when will you get a 30-foot putt followed by a 27-foot putt or something like that? But it doesn't matter because the distance control that you do in the zone anyway, you're never going to get a 60-footer followed by a 65 and like that. But it just understands pace better, doesn't it?
Definitely. They're all good. There's no like seriously best one compared to the other, I'd say. But yeah, just
doing them. It's getting someone just to do it. I'm gonna. I had a question I was gonna throw at you, and I completely forgot where it was then. No, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna put that one there. Jude, how can people find you on socials? Where are you at? What platforms are you on? If the one person that's listening to this, which is probably going to be my mum,
I'm mine.
Oh yeah, so we're in.
Yeah.
So if where can people find you if they want to find you?
So Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, I'd say the main 3. Facebook as well.
Yeah.
All Jude Hobbs Golf. That's Jude Hobbs Golf, one word. I'd post more on Instagram. Just because it's Instagram, I feel like it's one of the best ones, even though it is like I'm not really enjoying Instagram at the moment. I don't know, it's something to do with the algorithm or just
don't get me started on it, mate.
Yeah, not very great. Like they just I don't know. They need to see a little bit. I'd like to, on Instagram, done like the like if you posted someone that posted 2 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago, you see the 2 minutes ago one, then you scroll down, it's being random. But anyways, that's not even relevant.
That's another story.
That's a whole other podcast.
And people can search you up on Skillist if they want to find you on Jude Hobbs Golf.
Yeah, that's the one. That's all in. That's all in the Instagram bio.
Perfect. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's all good. All right, didn't we?
No, that one didn't. Right. It's been a pleasure to have you on. Hopefully we'll maybe 6 months down the line do it again when this is totally and utterly blown up. And
Yeah, this
we
is
can
on
do
a
it in
million,
person.
a million subscribers or likes, whatever. After 6 months, then I'm back.
You're back. We'll just keep reposting this and then traffic both ways.
Exactly.
Right, but thanks for coming on, Jude. Appreciate it a lot. And I will speak to you soon. Hopefully, everyone will reach out to you and get some putting lessons off you.
Thank you, mate. Really appreciate it. Thank you.